A 7 1/4 inch gauge Sweet William steam locomotive. Part 1. The inspection. This engine belongs to a customer. Well made and fully complete, it is almost ready to run. But there is a very serious problem with it. After a visual inspection of the steel boiler, which looks very good, I applied some compressed air to it, and when I opened the regulator, with very little air pressure inside the boiler, it seems to run quite well, although the timing's not right. The problem is the engine is sat on wooden blocks, and this type of valve gear is very particular where the wheels are in the equation. This is currently not very important. I was curious to see whether the wheels went round, and they do. Before I show this Sweet William in any more detail, I'd like to show what a Sweet William is supposed to look like. This is the one built by Phil Owen of Blackgates Engineering, and he runs it frequently. This is at the Wakefield Club track. I made a video with him a while back showing how to run a miniature steam locomotive. As you can see, this one is a saddle tank, which is the way it was designed. And this particular locomotive is very well finished and runs really well. The one on my bench is quite well made, but it's not very well finished, and it has two of the largest side tanks I've ever seen, which is not really a bad thing from a practical point of view because it means the locomotive can carry more water. All parts required to build this engine are available from Blackgates Engineering, and steel boilers professionally manufactured to specification are available for it from various builders. Wherever I look, the engine does seem to be quite well made, and it's not very dirty. It has had a fire in it, but as you can see, there's not much soot in the smoke box. After I poked my hand in there, my fingers came out fairly clean. And also I can't see any soot on the heat deflector plate that's connected to the smoke box door. Initial first impressions are good. The only problem with this locomotive is it's quite big and it is extremely heavy. Quite a few years ago I started to build one of these, and I more or less completed the rolling chassis, and I bought a professionally built silver-soldered copper boiler for it. Also, when I looked at the physical size of this locomotive, it wasn't really suitable for my garden railway around the house, and that is why I never finished it. Instead, I sold it. And this is bringing back memories of just how heavy these locomotives are. In this clip you can see some of the finer detail. The locomotive is fitted with twin displacement lubricators, one at each side, but it also has a twin mechanical lubricator, which means that if either side of the twin mechanical lubricator fails, you can fill the required displacement lubricator at the side of the cylinder that's not getting any oil. The only thing that bothers me about this locomotive is the physical size of these massive side tanks. They actually look like some of the balance weights on my son-in-law's tractors. Here's a closer look at the twin mechanical lubricator. It doesn't look like a commercial item to me, but I may be wrong. The engine also has oil boxes mounted on the side tanks to lubricate the axle boxes, a nice touch. If you look at the angle of the check valve into the boiler, this puzzles me a bit. I don't think that's right. Why is it not at 90 degrees? I suppose I could check it from the drawing, but I'm not going to do any work on the boiler. That's not my forte. Boiler smithing is an entirely different skill, and years ago when I read the book by K.N. Harris, Model Boilers and Boiler Making, that put me off for life. I'm not too thrilled with the piping or the taps, which are all of the taper plug type, and when I first put the air in the boiler I could hear one of them leaking. This is a marine type boiler, and the design's great. It means you can remove the fire, so if you get a bit of a problem with the water level, you can just take the fire out completely. There is evidence of this grate having had a coal fire on it, and the stainless steel heat shield shows some evidence of heat as well. Everything fits perfectly. The removable firebox goes in and out very easily, and the damper flap, which regulates the amount of air that you can pass through the fire, props open very easily. The firehole door works too. Apart from the odd appearance of the two side tanks, which of course could easily be changed, most of this engine is really well made, although I don't like the water gauges for a couple of reasons. One being that they are not three-cock type, so if you break the glass you can't stop the steam and water from escaping from the boiler. Originally, when the owner and a very strong friend of his delivered the engine, There were some water gauge protectors, glass type, but they were really horrible and very sharp. So I asked the owner to take those back with him. What's the main problem? Well, there's a number on the boiler, 9455, and the standard of the welding on the boiler is very good indeed. And this is something worth listening to. There is not a boiler certificate with this boiler, and with only those 4 numbers on the back head, who knows who made it? This engine came from a deceased estate, and the builder-owner of this engine was the person who was deceased. So there is no paperwork whatsoever with it. This is a major, major problem. In this close-up you can see how good the welding is, but the rules on steel boilers are very stringent. It has to be made out of the correct type of steel. All welding has to be done by a coded welder who's properly qualified, and it needs to have certification. As I'm zooming in here, you can see the standard of the workmanship is very good indeed. I made a few phone calls to various boiler makers, and I'd like to say a big thank you to Andrew Kirk and Ashley at Station Road Steam, as well as my friend Phil at Blackgates Engineering, and they were all extremely helpful. Thank you very much indeed. At the moment it's looking like it may need to be fitted with a new boiler, which is a bit sad really because this one's very well made, and the bad news is delivery time from date of order can take up to 1 year. And before I receive comments about commercial boiler inspectors, yes, I've phoned a few. If any of my viewers out there definitely know anything about this particular engine, please let me know. Even if the boiler was okay, some of the parts need replacing, starting with the water gauges. What I'm going to do in the next episode is start the process of removing the cladding to look on the boiler to see if it has any manufacturer's marks or numbers or anything like that. I have a suitable cardboard box to put all the parts in that I'm going to remove from the engine. Before I start this job in earnest though, I do have some other projects that need to be finished. But I will show what I found underneath the firebox cladding in the next episode. That's it for this one. Stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.